The Tanggula X5 Pro Android TV box offers literally thousands of live streaming television channels, movies, and television series, all with a subscription-free streaming service. So, let's find out more about it. Hi and welcome to Bytes and Bits. The kind people at Tanggula have sent me across one of their X5 Pro TV boxes for a review, and that's what we're going to be having a look at today. So this is an Android-based TV box, but the real main feature of this device is that it will give you access, subscription-free, to a few thousand online TV channels, thousands of movies, and thousands of subscription-free television series. So let's have a look at this device and see exactly what it is and what you get for your money. So this device then, it really splits into two parts. There's the actual hardware and the Android TV box itself, and then these subscription-free services that you can hook it into. Now, the subscription-free, of course, this is a premium price device. I think this TV box here comes in at around about £250 in the UK here. So obviously that is quite an expensive for what the actual hardware is. So although you're not paying a subscription, obviously you're paying then for access to this subscription-free service. So I'm going to treat that then as we're going to have a look at the actual box itself, and then we're going to have a look at this actual online content service and see exactly what's up with that. So let's start with the box itself. So the device comes in a very smart black box, and inside that then we have the Android TV box itself. So this is a nice little unit. It's an aluminium alloy casing, and of course it's got all the ports that we need on that. So let's put that to one side for now. Underneath that then we have the bits and pieces that come with it. There's a very brief user manual, but then we go into the remote. So this actual device comes with two remotes. So this remote here, if I can get that out, this is an Air Mouse remote, and we'll have a look at that in a second. And then we have a more standard remote here. So if I get that out, and let's just get this cellophane wrap off that. There's a tab here, right? Okay, so let's just pull that device out. So again, what you would expect to get with an Android TV box. And the final box that's inside the main box then is of course all of our little power adapter here, and of course we get an HDMI cable and then a little aerial for our wireless connection. So that's again fairly standard then for any Android TV box that you might buy. So looking at the individual parts, the TV box itself is an aluminium alloy casing, and it has an LCD display on the front here. On one end we have an SD card expansion and a USB 3.0 port. On the back of it then we have a USB 2 port, our gigabit Ethernet, HDMI, and our aerial connection. And then that's really all there is to that one. The aerial itself then comes as a little standalone aerial. So we have this what I guess would be classed as a higher gain aerial that you can attach to it, but it is quite nice to have that external connection. So if you did want to put a much higher gain antenna on there, you can connect that. The remotes then, as I said, it does come with two remotes. So we have a standard Android TV box remote, and then we have the one on the right here is what's known as an Air Mouse remote. So I will show you that working once we get everything connected up. And it is quite a useful and a much better way of using the device than the standard remote. User guide is pretty standard. There's nothing much to see in there. I'm not quite sure what this one actually is for, but it just basically tells you what happens on an Android TV. So I'm sure you're pretty familiar with that. It does come with an HDMI port, HDMI lead, sorry. And then we have a 5-volt 2-amp power supply, which will connect and of course power and let you run the unit from a standard wall socket. So that's everything that you get in the box. So specification wise, so this is the X5 Pro model, and that's running on an Amlogic S904X4 processor. So that's a 64-bit processor, quad core, with ARM Cortex A55 CPUs, which are generally running around about sort of 1.8 to 2 gigahertz. Now that's teamed then with the Mali G31 graphics processor, and this unit here has 4 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM, and then quite nicely it has 128 gigabytes of internal storage. So our Wi-Fi then, it has got AC, B, G and N, and that's able to pick up then both the dual channel, so 2.4 gigahertz, and then the faster 5 gigahertz connection. We have Bluetooth support, and the remotes do have voice support, so we can do voice searching on those. And again, as I said, we have an aluminium alloy case, which will help dissipate that heat a little bit better. Now the device itself, of course, we're using this as a TV box, so we have an HDMI output, and that's stated as being able to run either 8K or 4K resolutions at around about sort of 24 frames per second. So that gives us some pretty good support there for our TV. Ethernet then, we do have gigabit Ethernet support on here, and we do have an expansion SD card which will support, as it says on the box here, it says it does support up to 64 gigabytes of external storage then. So we've got a good specification here, not outstanding, but it is very competent. So if we plug it all together and power it on, it'll go through its normal startup procedure and then drop you into the standard Android TV box interface. So from here you'll need to go through the normal sort of setup procedure, connecting to Wi-Fi and so on. But that will then drop you in, and at this point in time we are just running a standard Android TV box with connection to the Play Store and pretty much everything else that you would expect to have on there. So to control the device, we did mention before that we have these two remote controls, and one of which is this air mouse that I've got in front of me at the moment. Now this senses your position of your mouse by just the movements of the controller itself. Now it does mean that it can get a bit out of sync with the actual pointer on screen at times, but that's only just a minor inconvenience. As regards actually using it then, it does of course have the D-pad for normal movement around on the buttons, and then of course you've got this mouse pointer which you can use, well, like a mouse in effect, and that does actually make it much more usable. So in effect you've almost got in effect touch screen on here by using this mouse to actually touch icons and so on, and that does improve the performance of Android TV quite a lot. So we do have full access to the full Play Store, so we can install any Android apps that we want to. So having a look here at some Android gaming, this is Asphalt 8, and as you can see it's playable rather than smooth, so casual Android gaming will be fine on this device, if not super smooth. If we then have a look at some sort of retro emulation and so on, so I'm running here a Nintendo 64 emulator, and this is GoldenEye, which is sort of one of the top end games. So again, it's again playable rather than being super smooth. So Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1, Super Nintendo and all those sorts of games, they will all be perfectly playable on this device, if not going up then to some of the higher PSP type games and so on. So casual gaming is fine. Having a look at the video performance, again, YouTube, anything like that, that will all run perfectly well on here. There's no issues with that. As we'll see, we're going to have a bit of closer look at that in a second when we come to the streaming service. So that's the actual console itself then. As I say, it's a competent Android TV box that will let you do everything you want to do with that. So let's start looking now at the actual streaming apps that come with this device. So the box comes pre-installed with something called the TA Store, and if you open this app you'll see the streaming apps that are inside there, and this is one that will actually install these for you. So first off you need to activate your console to gain access to the apps themselves, and then you need to install these two apps which are the actual streaming services. So once you've got those apps installed, you'll then find you have this Tang TV app sitting on your desktop. So if you open that up, that will take you into the whole streaming system. So we have really three sets of options here. One is the live TV, we then have some movies, and we have series. So if we look at the live TV first, it does seem to do this downloading of the program guides each time that we go into something. And this can get a little bit in the way of the process. So that does take a few seconds to download. But once you get into that, you can then start going off and having a look at the channel selection. So if we look across on here, they are divided up into a number of categories. And each of these categories then, it does show you how many different channels there are in there. And really the choice is quite amazing actually. There's a massive amount of US channels and then a smattering of other countries. So UK is quite heavily represented here as well. But any of these sections then, you can just simply click into them and then get a list of channels and what's currently available for viewing. So if we have a look inside one of these, you can see that, well, all I can say is everything does work very well. The channels themselves come up, you can play them. There doesn't seem to be any glitching on these at all. So the servers are giving a good feed through. So if we then have a look at the movie selection, so again coming in here, there are a large number of movies available for you to watch. They probably are not the latest titles. There does seem to be sort of a smattering of things you may well never have heard of and some things which you will recognise. But at least, as I say, there is a large selection, so you will find something to watch and everything does work. All of the films, you can play them back and there doesn't need to be any glitches or buffering going on. Similarly then for the television series, there is again a very large selection of those from across the world. If you're looking for a specific series, well then of course it's going to be a bit of hit and miss whether it happens to be one of the ones that are part of a selection here. But there is a very wide range of things for you to watch, so if you are looking for something, there's definitely going to be something here that's going to interest you. So to be honest, in terms of this streaming service, I've been very impressed with it. There is a very large range of choice from across the whole globe, and the actual service itself does seem to be very good. I wasn't having any problems getting hold of the films and series and so on, and everything does seem to stream nicely. There wasn't any sort of buffering going on. So in that sense, that whole streaming service is actually a very good system. So there you have it, and that's our Tanggula X5 Pro. So again, we need to think about what this device actually is and why you're buying it. So the actual Android TV box itself then is a fairly standard TV box. It's got reasonable performance and will do pretty much everything you want an Android TV box to do, to be honest. Again, for gaming, this is not going to be the ideal device for you, but you can, of course, do casual gaming, and you saw there the retro gaming. We can get that up to sort of Nintendo 64 style of stuff. But obviously, if you're going to be paying this premium price, it's actually that streaming content which is what you're actually buying rather than this actual piece of hardware. Now, obviously, we've seen that there is quite a good selection of content on that network, and it all does work. There's no issues with that, and it works quite well. Okay, there's certain aspects like on the refreshing the program guide and so on, which takes a bit of time. But once you get into actually watching the programs and films and so on, everything works absolutely as it should do. So in that sense, it is a good service. Now, obviously, you need to, of course, weigh this up both in terms of cost and in terms of your, how would you put it, your ideas on the legality of this particular service. So, and the cost-wise then, so if this device here, if you were buying this Android TV box, would be costing about sort of £40. So you're paying around about £200 for the streaming service. Again, weighing that up against the yearly subscriptions to something like Amazon Prime or Netflix or Disney Plus. Again, you know, you're looking at about sort of 10 months worth of subscription fees there. So that's really how you're going to be weighing this device up. As I said, on the legality of it, again, I'm going to leave you to look deeper into that. There doesn't seem to be a lot of information about that. The company themselves, Tanggula, obviously concentrate very much on saying that the TV box itself is perfectly legal, which is perfectly true. And leaving the apps then to yourself to make your own decisions. But again, I think if we did think about it, especially here in the UK, it's a fairly easy answer as to whether those are legal or not. So that's the device itself then. Good TV box, streaming apps that do work. Legality, not sure. But there you have it. So if you have enjoyed this video and find it useful, do please click that like button and subscribe to the channel for more reviews, gaming, modding, electronics projects. I look forward to seeing you again very soon. And bye for now. For more games programming, electronics projects, and retro gaming, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and visit my website.